he was in a podcast with like the Amber King and someone else and himself. And there's a bit he mentioned, and I was like, that's a thing. In the realm of life, there is something called lifequakes. Not earthquakes, lifequakes.
What?
If you are hit by this lifequake, congratulations, you're pregnant.
What the fuck?
Man or woman, you are pregnant.
What?
That is so funny.
What is this?
Congratulations.
What, is this a xenomorph thing?
No, you're just pregnant because it's the realm of life. It's bursting of life. Everything's growing so much. It's like there's so much life in this place. So
but the guy doesn't.
They have.
But the guy doesn't have a uterus. How does that work?
Figure it out.
Oh, jeez.
One will be vehicle 6, comprised of warrior women.
Hi friends, I'm LJ Jarvis, and welcome back to AoS Jarvis Show.
Before we begin, let us thank you for clicking onto this video. If you'd like to see more videos like these, consider subscribing and hitting the bell button so you'll never miss an episode. Now, on with the show.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to On Air with Jarvis, the podcast of all things Warhammer and general stuff I find of interest. Join us today, the Brush Eater, Eater of Brushes. How's it going, sir?
That's how you said my name. That was so professionally done. I was like, oh, I just Eater of Brushes. You just like said the title so well. I couldn't have said it better myself. I am fine today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, to people who don't know, I actually rehearse my podcast episodes before I record, so I put some practice into it.
No, that's fine. Talk yourself in the mirror and get the right words. Because everything sounds better in your head until you say it out loud. Oh God, that was awful.
Yeah, it's like I follow cue cards. It's like, okay, does this sound good when I say it out loud? Then I say it out loud. Oh, it doesn't sound as good as I thought it did.
No, yeah, definitely. Like when you're having arguments in your head, you think you can win, but when you actually have the argument, you stutter and you sound stupid. So, no, good idea to get it out there and actually, say what you want to say.
Or, you're trying to tell a spicy joke, but then it doesn't go the way you want it to go, and it's like, oh, that didn't turn out well.
I just don't tell jokes because I'm awful. Again, I get a good joke in my head, like I go to my wife, tell her a joke, and I just flop it, and she just looks at me like I'm an idiot. It's like, okay, why did I marry you?
It's like, oh, shit, fuck.
Yeah, you just look stupid. So I was kind of like, yeah, maybe I should have just said nothing at all.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm doing good, I think. I've been painting my Farsight models, so I've been having fun with that.
Yeah, I've seen you talk about your Farsight model. I mean, the new Farsight model is it's so good. The upgrade it's just stunning. Like, it's just like, compared to the old one, it's immaculate. It's so good. Because I know people were coping, with the old Farsight model because everyone was wanting a new one, and so they kept kit bashing the old Farsight blade with one of the new sort of suits because that's all they could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you do compare the old Farsight model compared to the Crisis suits, there is a height difference. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's not even funny. It's like Farsight is like a little dwarf compared to them.
It looks Weenie Hut Jr. Plus, Finecast.
It's not the best thing.
The worst.
But hey, and it's been proven on my YouTube poll that Farsight has the best, tactical rock of all Warhammer models, right? It's been confirmed. He has the best tactical rock.
I mean, not only has got the rock, he's got the cherry blossoms that it looks incredible. It's an incredible centerpiece.
It's like, that is 40k Samurai. It's like, and I'm glad Games Workshop went that direction because there's no other depictions to do Farsight. He is a samurai.
Oh, 100%, yeah. He is pretty much the de facto good guy of the 40k setting.
He is. Well. It's like people do this long essay about why they like the Emperor or why they like a certain Primarch, right? But for anybody who likes Farsight, they get to the point and say he's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's even during the Arcs of Omen or the old sort of Lords one, he allows everyone to come into his thing, even humans as well, and he doesn't judge anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm a bit iffy with the whole like brainwashing thing with the Tau because like they don't want to make him grimdark. They need to make him grimdark. Sorry, we need
that's mainland. That's mainland Tau Empire. That's the Ethereals. There's a little difference.
No, that's what I mean. Like they got rid of that. Like he figured it out. Like, oh my god, we're getting brainwashed. This is cringe. And then he left, and which I think is great. I think it's fantastic. Because I think we can all agree if we had to be isekai'd into the 40k universe and had a choice, we would join the Tau. It's no matter what, if we're brainwashed or Farsight, it's the best option.
It is just a better lifestyle. Just admittedly. Is because I'm saying when you join the Imperium of Man, you're not going to be, spending your whole day painting or doing the stuff you like to do. You're going either the mines or the factory.
Exactly. You can get lucky sometimes because I've heard there are paradise worlds where you can just farm and live out your days in fields, but that's a very considering it's there's millions of world and quintillions of humans. It's like your lot is very tiny to get into it like some of you want to go, and eventually you're just going to become corpse starch. So good luck.
It's like saying, oh, it's possible to win the lottery 5 times in a row on that same day. It's possible technically, but it's not going to happen.
It's a 100%, yeah. Like if I had a choice, definitely Tau, 100% Tau or Votan. I would be a Votan, definitely.
Yeah, and that actually leads into this conversation piece, right? Because with me doing my Farsight, and I know those pictures from you actually online, so you're currently doing Leagues of Votan, yeah?
Oh yeah, I've I'm more of an Age of Sigmar guy, but I've been pressuring with my friends to continue doing 40k, and I'm on a bit of a 40k sort of holiday at the minute, and the Votan are just the models are. I mean, I'm a big dwarf simp when it comes to fantasy, Lord of the Rings, this, that, and the other. And the Votan are just incredible. Such incredible models, and I'm having a good time painting them. Apart from the color scheme, I've picked yellow. I don't know why I picked yellow. In my head, when I first started doing it, I thought it was a great idea. But now I'm about 7 models in. It's this is a really bad idea.
Yellow can be a bit tricky, but when you do a few, tricks here and there, it's not the worst paint to do. It's at least you didn't choose white.
No, I'm glad I didn't do white because some people who can do white. I mean, I try to do white on some Khorne Berserkers guy. I go a bit of a spectrum, and I have I get an inspiration when I listen to some lore. I love the World Eaters. I love the blue and the white armor they have from the Heresy era.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a faction in the Heresy era of that. I was, oh boy, I'm going to do white. And I took a look and do some research, and I finally do the white, and I ruin it.
I did discover a way to paint white on models. I finally found the best way to do it, but it's not the best paint to go for if you're starting off Warhammer. I gotta say.
Oh yeah. My one was oh yeah, use Corax white, and I thought okay, I'll use Corax white, and it's oh. Some people are live and die by Corax white, but it's 50-50 for me. It's either really good or just really just chalky and just looks nasty.
Yeah, I use a pearl quill paint called pure titanium white, or no, it's bold titanium white, and that's the most whitest paint you'll ever get in the hobby industry, I think.
I think you literally talked about it on a podcast episode, a list of you and your friend, and
yeah, I did.
The best white, and it was never in stock though.
That is true. That's right, and
I did listen to that episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most purest white paint you can get. It's compared to other white Games Workshop cells, right? They look great in comparison. It's the most white paint you'll get.
But here's the question: and what's the coverage like? That's the big question. Is the coverage good? How many layers does it take before you get a nice smooth layer?
So the trick is that you paint gray as the base paint for it, and then you put on a few coats of white. And I would say it takes 2 to 3 coats for it to settle in.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's really good.
You just need to find a good balance between thinning your paint. So it's that's why I paint with this sponge that I put a little sheet over it. And that makes the best combination of water and paint. So I don't need the traditional palettes that you might usually get, It's a
wet palette.
Wet palette. That's what it is. Thank you.
I live and die by my wet palette. I don't know why I didn't use a wet palette for years. People need to have a wet palette or something similar to what you have. It's amazing. Don't
It
use a
is.
tile, for the love of God. Don't use a tile.
It is. It's literally the best thing to do. It's a good investment.
Oh yeah, keeping your points, your paint's moistured. Like imagine, like you put some paint down, you go get a drink, and come back, it's dry. You want to keep it moist. The word moist is horrible, but like keep the paint moist, and
that is what it is.
Straight away.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, though I started using yellow whenever I'm painting like hazard stripes on models, and I have a buddy of mine who hates me painting hazard stripes, but it's like, oh, whatever, you hater, huh? Just feeling black and yellow.
Jesus. But no, like the yellow I'm using, I'm using GW yellows. Like maybe it's a skill issue on my end, but like because I'm with the Votan I'm doing at the minute, like it's kind of I'm using the color scheme for the Cronus hegemony, which is black armor and yellow cloth. That's the color scheme for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a bit cheating with them. So my voice little squeak there. I've gone for a metallic metal. I mean for the armor, because it's just I kind of go for a very 50-50 with my armor. Like I want to rush it, but at the same time I want to try hard some areas. So the armor is literally just like some metallic metal, which is black and lead belt, which are mixed together, and then I wash it, and then it's done. I don't have to worry about that. I let the light do the highlighting. Then everything else like the cloth and the face and certain things, I will try hard at. And the yellow, if I make any mistakes by accident, like if I get a little bit of like brown from the leather on there, or like some of the metallic, it takes about 3 to 6 layers just to get a nice smooth layer. And oh god, it grinds my gears. But that's just me. It's a skill issue on my end, because some people are, it's really easy. Well, it's me then. I'm crap.
Yeah, it's especially the worst when you accidentally get black on areas that are supposed to be yellow. That's the worst.
Oh god, yeah. No, it's.
But I will say this.
Shed a tear.
But I will say this. My favorite paint actually would actually be orange. That's a paint I use the less, but whenever I do use it, I really do like it. I like painting orange. That's my favorite.
See, orange is definitely like second or third favorite colors to paint, because with the Cities of Sigmar I'm painting, I've gone for the hammer. I've gone for Hammerhelt Aksha, like the thing of the fire, realm of fire. So they're the very bright colors, so like yellow, light oranges, reds, and them sort of colors. And Troll Slayer orange for Games Workshop is just an incredible orange. It's such a beautiful color.
It is.
I'm not sure if you've seen the color like it brings out, but my god, it's beautiful. So vibrant.
Mm-hmm. It's very sharp orange, and I really like it. I think that's the best sort of orange to get if you really want to like brighten up your models, because using the orange before that, it's very dark. Like was it
Jokera orange? Is that the one?
Yeah, it's very dark.
Base.
That's a very dark, base color orange. Yeah, but Troll Slayer orange, when you put that over it, it really brightens it up, and it's like
it's surprising, because like the two oranges are very different. While the Jokera orange, you need to have that as a base, because of course it's a base. You need a strong like layer. And then I do a little bit of a wash, and then I go back over and Troll. It takes a few layers with Troll Slayer orange, but god, it pops. I'm not sure how it does it, but like it just looks incredible. I love Troll Slayer. It's a beautiful orange.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and if I may say, so I messed up there. So this is something I do for almost every single podcast episode. Yeah, whenever I bring on a new guest. So, for the audience in the back who may not be familiar with you or the stuff you do, who may be brushers? Again, just for the audience who may not be so familiar with you.
Like who are me? Like me as a person and stuff.
Who
history
are
and stuff of
you?
Warhammer.
Yeah.
Me. What is me? What makes me tick? That sort of thing. Is that What do you want to know? My history of Warhammer? What do you want to know about me then? What do you want to know? Ask me anything.
Well, okay, I guess we already know about like your hobby interests and all that, but I guess what I'm curious about actually, and this is maybe the question I still came up with first, is that yes, Warhammer's interesting, but I am interested in like how you got into Warhammer, right? Like, what was the introduction to you into the hobby, and what may stand out to you when compared to others? That's what I'm interested in.
Oh God, like with a bit of history for Warhammer, I've been on and off Warhammer for like since I was a child, essentially. It all started back in Portsmouth in England, and there's a little cute little model shop I used to go to. I used to walk past and go to my local game store to pick up like PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 games. And I walked past this model shop, and this is my first introduction to Warhammer. It's either two pictures. It's either the incredible picture of John Blanche for the Black Templars, you know, that massive spread of Armageddon, which is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's the classic Space Marine on the bike. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. As a kid, I was like, whoa, I love that. That was incredible. But I didn't get into it. I was just so obsessed with it. But like my mom didn't see the point in it because, of course, me being a kid, not realizing, I thought it was just toys at the time because, you know, cool spaceman with gun. But of course, you know, you need the tools, you need the paintbrush, you need the clippers. Mum didn't know this, but neither did I. And then eventually my mum used to drop me off at school and give me a couple of pounds. And this is the first time I was introduced to the White Dwarf magazine. And this is when the Tau first started coming out. So I got like the first the Codex, not Codex, sorry, the White Dwarf thing with like the Tau shooting over, like, you know, they're like on a massive little battle line. That was the first White Dwarf I got. And I loved it. Like the Tau, awesome. the classic goblin green base with like the little spattles of like green sort of tough. That's how long ago I got into Warhammer. But I didn't get any figures for years, but I was obsessed with this Warhammer. I kept begging my mum for Warhammer, but like she didn't know it and I didn't know it really.
Yeah, it's funny enough. We were just talking about Tau just earlier, and now we've come full circle with
exactly right back. Yeah, this was way before Farsight existed, and like this was just like the classic sort of like, you know, off custard sort of looking armor set. But when I eventually left Portsmouth, my best friend at the time in the area got me a start collecting box of like paints. So it was like paints, 2 Marines, and a paintbrush. They start collecting painting thing. And I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna do the box art. I'm gonna be such a great painter. It's gonna be fantastic. And of course, when you first start painting models and you have no idea what you're doing as a kid, you paint terribly.
That's exactly the case.
I didn't undercoat the model. I twisted the models off and pushed them together because I had no glue. So it was like bits. Oh god, and just thinking about it, it's just horrible. And then, you know, after that, it was a few years back and forth, not doing anything. And I got my friend into Warhammer, and he was one of them little rich kids who basically got everything what he wanted. So he got loads of Warhammer, and I had like you know, had these 2 Marines. And eventually, I said when we moved to Lincolnshire, eventually, we used to go to a corner shop in a place called Spalding where they used to sell the Marines on the sprue. You know, the classic metal ones. So I saved my little pocket money and get my little Marines.
Oh, the metal ones. Those are lead, aren't they?
The metal ones, yeah, like lead and metal. Them ones. And then I got like the classic old tactical Marines in plastic when I first got plastic Marines. Painted them up. Not great, of course, because I never undercoated them. It was like really painful to paint because I never undercoated them ever. It was really bad.
If you
but a little story as well. So after you.
No, sorry. If you thought that was bad, I used a layer paint as a base paint once.
Oh my god! How many layers did that take?
I guess 1 because I didn't really thin it out that well.
Same. I didn't thin my paint straight at the pot. Oh, why can't I see the eyes anymore?
Help me, Emperor! My face is melting.
It's awful. But basically, my bit of a tangent quickly, because with these Marines I bought, I painted them up, and then my dad is in the military at the time. He was in the Navy, and this was all during the time when, you know, the invasion of Afghanistan was about to happen. Yeah, and just being a bit of a tangent, very quickly, like basically, like my dad, you know, came over to basically say bye to us because he's going to do this invasion. And he took one of the Marines with me for good luck. I didn't know it at the time, but as like a father now, it probably means a lot, like having like a little trinket in your pocket. He kept it in his pocket, and he was like, you know, when he was doing the invasion, he just had it in his pocket for good luck, which I thought was quite sweet, actually. Now, as an adult, I do appreciate it a lot more, but as a kid, it's like, oh, he took my Marine.
Hey, he took my stuff.
He took my stuff without my permission, but, you know, fair enough. But then when I got into high school, that's when I really got into the Warhammer, because let's just say I was a very thick kid. I wasn't very bright. So I basically was at the bottom of my classes. So, of course, with that, I would usually get like a helper. And this guy got me into Warhammer like big time. His name was Duncan. he was a helper, and he was really into Warhammer as well. And I used to bring my White Dwarf magazines to read them. He's okay, and he eventually talked to me. He's like, "Listen, I do this, you do that," and we basically started talking about Warhammer. And eventually, I started a Warhammer club in school, which did quite well. I started a Warhammer over it was during the break time. This is when Lord of the Rings was getting popular. So I played Lord of the Rings, with the comics. I used to get. That's when I really got into it, because Lord of the Rings, when the models came out, I made a club during the break time. It did all right, but I didn't know the rules. I'd make up my own rules. And people were like, "Are you fucking stupid?" I was like, "Yeah, you do this, and there you go." Then no, this is how you do the rules. Oh, this is how you play. I was only in 8th grade, so I was very. I mean, I wasn't very bright then, and I'm still not. I wasn't a very bright kid. But eventually I started learning the rules, and then the club got quite popular during the break time, but there wasn't enough time to play a game, of course, because Warhammer takes a while to learn. And eventually I started learning the rules, and then we made an announcement we were going to start an after-school club. So we started doing an after-school club in my school. So I was there for a couple of hours. We can get like 2,000-3,000 point games playing now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that actually sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other good thing is that after I left high school, I was really annoyed because I saved up all these space. This one I really got into. I got like dreadnoughts. I got like a predator. I got like a razorback, a whirlwind. I was really into my space marines. And when I left school, I forgot the box. Basically, I just left it in the club room.
You just left it?
And I came back to get it. I just left it because I'm not sure. Maybe it's like, I can't remember what my sort of like. I think I'm more into my video games, and I just forgot it like an idiot.
Oh man!
And then I came back to pick it up, like kind of like a couple of weeks later. It was stolen. Someone just stole my whole fucking army.
What? You left it for a week and someone took it?
This is like the end of the year. Like this is when we were like graduating from high school. So not high school, secondary. We call it secondary school in the UK. You call it high school in the US.
I'm in Canada.
Graduating. Oh yeah, we're the same, right?
No, hold on. You'll be caving in my skull if I said Scotland's Northern England. I get my skull caved in by that.
They can stay up there, good old Scotland. I love my Scottish people; they're great. What was it? Yeah, all my stuff was stolen. Everything was stolen. My dreadnoughts, my marines, my HQ, everything. And I know who stole them.
Well, who stole them?
I asked for them back, and he sold them. Or some prick, basically.
Oh,
I didn't get on with him. He went to Warhammer Club, and I think I got on with him, but he just stole them, and then he sold them. And I was like, oh, cool, brilliant. So I kind of like had a bit of a lot for years. I didn't get into Warhammer after that because I've just lost my whole army,
It's like that's an investment they just lost. It's like it's hard to really start again.
These were like OG models. I'm not really like into sort of values of models, but like these models now will be like probably worth a little bit because like they're old. I had the old dreadnoughts, the librarians, the Devastator. I had everything, man. And the sad thing is though, my nan who bought me all these, and sadly she's passed away now. And like these were the last things my nan got me essentially. I was like, come on, man.
It's like the relic of the thing. That's why Trazen collects stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. He needs a new model. He honestly, I don't know why GW was sleeping on him. He is like the most iconic Necron, yet he doesn't have a new brand spanking new model.
Like Orican got a new model. It's like you expect both of them to get one at the same time.
Orican's a great character. I like Orican, but Trazen, he's been in like the big lore. He's been during like the Fall of Cadia, and he's had his own Hammer and Bolter episode. And he's got like, and he's incredibly popular in like, of course, like the Infinite the Divine book.
I've been reading parts of that, and I got to get back into reading it, and it's so funny. It's so great. It's
brilliant. So I mean, okay, with that, because I'm quite far in it. How far did you get into it? I know we're a bit of a tangent now, but that's all podcast size tangent. Great. So what part did he get up to in Infinite Divine?
I'm at the part where it just finished their trial. I don't mind spoilers at all, so I know I wouldn't really care like if someone tells me what happens in the book, because I don't know when I'm going to get back into it, but I have an idea of what happens at the end.
There's one bit in the story then, because it's not really a spoiler, but at the same time, it's very funny to listen to. Essentially, for years they're trying to get this stupid key, aren't they? They're fighting over this bloody key for years and years and years and years and years. and Trazen hides it in one of his exhibits, in like the Orc exhibit, which is hilarious. And Orokin finds it, of course, but it's in this massive sort of stasis field, I believe. So they're all like standing there, and Orokin turns off the stasis field. So orcs are just running amok around his museum and destroying everything and killing each other. And I believe he set the massive mech that orcs have on a self-destruct. And Orokin's like, you can chase me, or I'm going to blow up your museum.
Is this in the beginning of the book?
This is halfway through the book.
Okay.
This does happen. So he's fighting all these orcs, and I think Trazen kills a war boss, and all the orcs look at him and they start cheering at him. And then he, of course, turns the stasis field off, but Trazen is pissed. It's like his mother. He took it. I'm not sure how many years later, though, because it's really petty what happens. I'm not sure how many years it is, but just after this thing, what happened to the orcs, Orokin's sitting in his office, chilling, minding his own business. And Trazen walks through with one of the death mark portal things. And Orokin's speaking to him, and without saying a word, Trazen just shoots him in the face with the gun.
Awesome.
And then Orokin goes, I don't have the key. I don't have it anymore. Trazen's like, I don't care. And this leaves. It's just because of spite, just shot him in the face. It's such a good book.
What I find especially funny is when I reading this bit is that if the both of them were still Necron tier, right, and right, if they were still Necron tier, because of how old they were when they went to the transformation into Necrons, they'd be very old bastards. So when they're actually fighting each other, it'd be like that scene in Family Guy in which the two old people are trying to fight. It's super slow.
I think it explained in the book these two right now are titanic giants smashing things. Everything's breaking around them.
Yeah.
But when they were Necron tier, they were just scholars. They're not fighters. They were just slapping each other.
Yeah, they'll be super old.
Guards, and you got these two guards in the corners looking at each other, going, "Should we break it up? What's going on here?"
It's okay, Grandpa, let's get you back onto the couch. Let's go watch TV.
It's a crime that Trazen does not have a model. It's a crime. But going back to my little dumb story quickly. Eventually, I met my wife at college, and then I followed her to a city called Leicester. Good old Leicester, and eventually I got into the community I'd walked past Warhammer, and I basically got quite into the group there for a few years. Didn't play any games. I just did a few paintings. I was a jobless bum then, so I kept pissing off the GW guys because I was expecting me to spend money, but I had no money. But they would allow you to sit there and paint, so the guy would just mold when I was just painting my little models.
It's are we allowed to do the hobby in these stores or not?
I'd buy a pot of paint, and then that'll be it. And then I would sit there until my wife finished work when I was looking for jobs around the area. And then eventually, I had my child, and then we had another child, and then years and years later, I got into a little called we moved house. We did a lot of moving around, a lot of grown-up stuff, and then eventually my screen just turned off. Oh my god! Please tell me I'm still on Discord. Oh my god!
I can still hear you. You're good.
Am I good? Oh my god! My screen just turned off. I was sorry.
No, I still hear you. You're good.
My friend convinced me to get into a tabletop game called War Machine.
Oh, and that's something I'm going to be asking you later. Yeah, I'm going to be asking you about.
Yeah, they've got me to War Machine. It was great. It was fantastic. All my friends got into it. I had three great friends getting into War Machine, and eventually War Machine kind of did an oopsie and kind of just didn't stock anything anymore. And there's lots of little problems. And then
it's
I live in Leicester.
Did it die or something? What happened?
Yeah, it's I don't know the full details of War Machine, but it was essentially the company did a lot of stupid choices, a lot of investment things, and some rule changes and competitive things. And it was just a death by 1,000 cuts.
Oh,
and
man.
There's 40 people more. Because I wasn't really in the community. I was kind of in my group, doing War Machine. I didn't know the outer thing of the community at all.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people in War Machine are very upset what Privateer Press did with the game. Because essentially they caught lightning in a bottle. Because this is when Warhammer Fantasy was dying. Warhammer wasn't really caring. They didn't have social media, didn't have YouTube. Privateer Press was this new upgrowing company, and I was like, yo, these guys are great. They're listening to us. Their community. Da, 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 da. Again, they caught lightning in a bottle, and these guys could have been a competitor to Games Workshop, and then they fucked it up.
It's just like you said, death by 1,000 cuts. It's like sometimes just dumb business practices and dumb decisions.
It was I couldn't believe it, but like because every time I go to my local store, they have a section of War Machine, and it never got updated. The stock was sitting there for so long, it was gathering dust. No one was buying it. They didn't restock new stuff. Because no one did it anymore.
The truth is, the truth is, that's why they retired Warhammer Fantasy, because it was just not selling. Right?
Exactly, which was really sad. Again, there's people in the community that know a lot more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've read a few things. It's like, oh god, that was bad. What Privateer Press did. But essentially, after War Machine, I was like, wait a minute. I live in Leicester, right? And Nottingham's literally about 40 minutes up the road to me, and that's the Pilgrim of Warhammer World.
Yeah, I've been there. That was a great spot. That's a great place.
I have the luxury of going there, like, basically during the year. I can literally I have a friend who basically lives at Warhammer World because he lives so close, and it's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I just made Warhammer my main game after that, and then after that I just kept practicing painting, and then basically where I am now, really.
That is an actual interesting story, and yeah, it is pretty interesting on the story you told. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I mean, I did cut a lot of things. There's a lot of like little minute things, but like I think the bullet points are better than just like I don't know, like a Lord of the Rings extended cut story. You don't need to hear.
No, it'll be like if one of my buddies of mine, Hubert, it'd be like if he was telling his story, and instead of telling his story, he's rambling on, and I'm like, get to the point. It's like, holy shit, that's enough. Get to the point. You're not Tolkien. Just get to the point.
You're not Tolkien.
And it's like, you see, this sword was made by the kingdom of... Oh, you don't know this kingdom's name? Well, I'll start from the beginning. In the beginning, there was nothing. Then all of a sudden, there was this big explosion that...
Oh, God, Jesus. I don't know the king's name, but let me tell you about his family lineage. They keep going on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, no, that's basically the bullet points of my background, my lore, my character development,
my origin story.
Character. Yeah, not great stats, but I've got some good charisma.
Here's my origin story on where we are now.
Here's my D&D character sheet. Please read it, DM. I put a lot of effort into it. Trust.
I will tell you my origin story. I'll start from my childhood, then to my adulthood, back to childhood, then as my teenage years, then back to my childhood, then to my adult years. It's like, no, dude, just start from the beginning.
You just remind me of some some horrible trauma that happened. I played D&D once because I did a small campaign with my friends, and no joke, I made a human paladin because I was boring, and I had this massive background for my character, and I said, here you go, DM, read it. I got annoyed at him because he didn't read it, but now I was like, yeah, he doesn't have the time to read my flippant backstory.
It's just background. You don't need. It's not that important in the current story. That's what people need to get.
I spent a few hours at work writing it. You need to read it. It was God. I felt bad for him. I was like, come on, read it. It's like I don't need to read it. But nah, that was like what? God, bloody, I was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, the only story I made for my character was that he was a Polish dragonborn barbarian. That's as much as you need to know.
Nice. My one was literally human paladin that hated undead. Literally to the point where like they had to roll a strength check to keep me back, like hold me back, sort of stupid thing. That's how annoying I was in D&D. I was so like, I nearly wiped my party because of the undead. We were fighting this necromancer. And when you're going into the swamp, you can't see anything in front of you because this is a swamp. And my DM said, I said, okay, you can hear something in the swamp. And I said, I'm going to roll like, what's the thing where you can find the undead? What's it called? Like
I don't know.
I don't know. Again, I don't know D&D, but like basically I knew there was undead over there. And I said to my DM or my friend, I said, do I play character smart or do I play my smart? I said, "Oh, you play character smart. You're role players." Okay,
It's a
my character
theater
runs
game.
into the swamp. My character runs into the swamp. It's like, why? He's like, character smart. And there was like 20 undead, and I nearly wiped the party, and they were pissed at me. It's like, I'm sorry. No, I'll never play D&D again.
It's like, dude, why are you being such an asshole to us? And it's like, oh, I'm not being an asshole. I'm just role playing. It's like,
Exactly. I'm just beating this child. I'm just role playing.
It's like,
Yeah,
why are you talking to us so rude, man? It's like, oh no, that's
I'm just
just what my
role-playing.
character would do.
I just hate women. That's my character, not me.
Oh, guys, I'm just role playing.
God, women suck. Am I right? That's not me. That's the character, not me. By the way.
I don't know. So I was going to screenshot and screen cap this and be like, oh, look at this part of this.
Don't cancel me.
Oh, my life's under threat because I was inconvenienced. Oh. I got inconvenienced in life.
So ever since that D&D blunder, like I don't have time to play it because of like my work thing, but at the same time, it's like, oh,
I only played it
I feel
twice.
too bad. I respect people who have the time and commitment to DM, especially DMs. Like God, like the patience they have to do, set up this whole world and all this narrative, and all this stuff, for a group of friends. Respect DM players. Respect.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But I am curious on this though, because this is one of the main driving factors on why I wanted to bring you onto this podcast, right?
Okay.
And that's because you are as interested in AoS as I am, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, this is the truth of the matter is that I just like fantasy literature more than sci-fi. So unfortunately, even though I was in 40K for like years, unfortunately, I just find AoS to be more interesting than 40K. There, I said it. That's just my opinion.
No, I'm with you as well. Like I prefer fantasy over sci-fi any day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like 40K.
Mm-hmm.
I love the lore. I love the characters. The models are pretty good. I've not played the game because I'm more of a painter and I keep like having a massive backlog and things. But I love fantasy. I think fantasy is just top.
Mm-hmm.
Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, etc. It's just peak in my humble opinion.
It's okay to have opinions, just don't be a dick about it.
I mean,
that's
Jesus Christ.
But that's something most people don't get. You can have an opinion, just don't be a dick about it.
It's common sense, really. Like you can enjoy things that other people don't like, and the whole debacle of Age of Sigmar is just cringe. People get upset about it, dude. It's been 10 years to grow up.
But that's the thing. Common sense is not that common as you might think it is.
You are very correct there, and I hate the fact that you're right.
Because we live in a world where it's like there is no like enjoying something just for enjoying it, right? It's either you hate it or you don't like. You hate it or you love it. There's you can't have middle ground these days. It's like I have a big stupid complaint and you can do nothing about it.
Exactly. Like, people are alike to like other things. Like, for instance, for me, maybe I sound like a bit of a boomer. Like, VTubers I think are fantastic. I understand why they do it for like characters hiding themselves, this, that, and the other. It's personally not for me. And I'm not going to judge people for enjoying that, But people have this thing where like they would just attack people for like stupid things like what I just said. Like, it's not for me. But like, oh, but why? Oh, it's like, it's not for me.
I can't watch VTubers for long because women aren't funny.
Oh, gee.
Why? Why? Why are you booing?
I think you're setting yourself up to be cancelled. Jesus Christ.
What? What?
That's brave.
What? Why are you booing me? I'm right. It's like, oh my god. Look how pretty I am, guys. Look at my look at my giant boobs shaking around. Wow.
Hey man, that's the one thing I do appreciate.
Whoa, I'm a joke. It's a joke. I'm joking. I'm joking.
you gotta appreciate some of the VTubers sort of like sprites they have with like the eyes and the hair and like the movement of the body. I think that is incredible. That's so impressive.
I follow VTubers. Come on, I'm actually joking this time around. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I think what they do is impressive. It's just not for me. But like, going back to like Warhammer and like that stuff. Like for instance, you have a like
back on topic. Back on topic.
Yeah. Like back on Segway. Yeah, Dean Kamen. Let's go.
And that's not for me being an incel. Hey, but I went on dates. I'm not that much of an incel. Okay, back to topic.
A for effort. Back to topic. So, what do you want to know about for Age of Sigmar and stuff like that? What's your take then? Because actually, I've never actually seen you. What is your favorite faction in Age of Sigmar? What is your go-to army?
Oh, that's actually pretty difficult because, but I will.
Your head, pick one.
But this is a faction that got me into Age of Sigmar, right? This is what really made me appreciate it. It is the Idoneth Deepkin.
Oh, that's such a unique faction. I love the Idoneth Deepkin.
Oh, dude, it's like there's so much you can do with them, and what they present already is really awesome. Especially you can do them like painting range, right? You can make them extremely colorful, like what you probably see in like the tropical parts of the world. I wouldn't know what country to point to, right? You can paint them to be very tropical and colorful, or you can make them like deep undersea horrors with like their like really dark schemes and stuff. It works very well.
Like you can match whatever sort of paint scheme you want for like, bright, colorful, like, coral reef things, or like the bottom of the oceans when there's no sunlight and it's horrible stuff there. And then you can match it with the realms they're in as well.
Yes, that's right.
Creativity I love about Age of Sigmar. There is so much creativity
to the
setting and what you can do.
And here's the thing too, and I'm going to point this out because it's something why I really like the idea of the mortal realms in Age of Sigmar, right? So these are like, realms of fire, realms of death, realms of life, realm of light, realm of death. However, it's just not like the entire realm is made of fire because it's the realm of fire. There's this area that's a volcano, but that doesn't mean the entire realm itself is just one big volcano, There is the jungle part. There is like, a tundra part. Those exist. It's just, it is, fire themed. And that's what I really like about something like the Mortal Realms is that they don't follow like sci-fi planet logic where it's like this entire planet is a volcano or this entire planet is a jungle. And there's a lot of creativity you can get out of something like that.
Exactly. Like what I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and I've listened to the recent book of Yndrasta. And the book's all right. I think it's not the best work he's done because you don't really when you have like a main character called Yndrasta, like the goat of like essentially Age of Sigmar, she's barely in the book. But anyway,
she is? She's not? Really?
It's really weird. She's in the first part, and then there's a massive part where she's not there. She appears a little bit, then someone dies, and then she's there for a while, and then she's gone again, and then she's back again, and she's gone again, and she's back again. But anyway,
this sounds like a Primarch book, but not having the Primarch.
It's a bit of a like what's really good about it. I'll go back to the topic we were talking about. But Yndrasta is a very weird character because she's very sort of like noble and very like humans are beneath me. I can snap you in two if I wanted to. But at the same time, she has like a commitment to like protecting people as well. It's a very good thing because like she's getting praise from these people. She's like, I don't know how to react to this. It's very fun when that happens, but when she's barely there, which is very weird. But a bit of tangent on about I think they're in Gur. So when you think Gur, you think lots of like sort of like deserts and plains and rocky mountains and stuff.
Like giant monsters.
Like giant monsters and these mass sort of like, Africa essentially, like, these giant sort of mountain cliff, plains, deserts. But you follow this group that are a roving band of sort of like reclaimers, kind of like the wanderers, like a big clan. And they're in the tundra. They're being pulled by like reindeer and sled houses.
Yes.
It's really fun.
Yes, that's interesting.
What's about Age of Sigmar. It's so much fun. Like they're getting chased by a kraken that's in the wastes, chasing them, and cormoys are chasing them as well.
That's cool.
That have been corrupted by the kraken or something like that, or they pissed off the kraken to attack this place. And like I said, these houses are moving around in sleds on reindeer and stuff like, or like sort of reindeer-ish sort of creatures, and that's Gur. and that's fantastic. That's so much fun.
It is. It's like, and I said this in a post once. Even though the mortal realms, are these like bubbles of reality, for some reason they feel enormous compared to the galaxy of 40K. For somehow, Games Workshop made like art depictions of the mortal realms feel enormous, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I think they said the realms are essentially semi like what's the word? They're nearly. They said that essentially they're nearly like vast. It's very big. Essentially, it's like a galaxy wide, but it's not really. They're kind of saying that meaning like they can add to it when they want to, because I think that was the issue they had in fantasy. They couldn't add anything to Warhammer Fantasy because was such a.
It's just that they technically could, but then again, there's a lot of like weird writing here and there. Because what's Warhammer Japan? Nippon. What's Warhammer's China? Cathay.
Exactly, and they couldn't add anything as well. They couldn't even add new war machines for the dwarves, because dwarves have that thing of like, we can't invent anything new for hundreds of years, because they couldn't add anything, because apparently they were making things for them, but they couldn't add anything because of the culture of the dwarves. And there's a whole thing with whole fantasy. I won't get into it because like it's a very touchy subject for people, and I can completely understand, because
it is.
That's 30 years. That's 30 years of lore, of commitment to a thing, just to go gone, just gone. And I understand why people are upset about that. But go back to Age of Sigmar, which is again a tough point for some people. Like, the realms are just fantastic. I love them so much. There are a lot more smart people in the setting than I am, because there's some people I know on Twitter, there's some people I know on YouTube are just so smart with like the little bits of the lore. Like, for instance, a little tangent as well from a YouTube. I can't remember his tag. I talked to him a lot. I'm really bad with names.
Pancreas no work.
Podcast one time. Sorry, what's up?
Pancreas no work.
Pancreas. I'm being stupid. It's Pancreas. I love him. I love the guy.
Yeah, it's like his videos are great.
Oh, I love him. He keeps me very entertained for my work and just like painting and stuff. I listen to his stuff on repeat. But he was in a podcast with like the Amber King and someone else and himself. And there's a bit he mentioned, and I was like, that's a thing. In the realm of life, there is something called lifequakes. Not earthquakes, lifequakes.
What?
If you are hit by this lifequake, congratulations, you're pregnant.
What the fuck?
Man or woman, you are pregnant.
What?
That is so funny.
What is this?
Congratulations.
What, is this a xenomorph thing?
No, you're just pregnant because it's the realm of life. It's bursting of life. Everything's growing so much. It's like there's so much life in this place. So
but the guy doesn't.
They have.
But the guy doesn't have a uterus. How does that work?
Figure it out.
Oh, jeez.
That's what happens in the realm of life, and you can just do what the hell you want in the mortal realms. I mean, there are structures to the thing. Like I said, you can, like, for instance, I think the most established part of the mortal realms, of course, is the realm of fire, my beloved, and
that is surprisingly well established, actually. Yeah,
it's very well established. Of course, you have Hammerhal Aksha, the main city, and you have the Great Parch, a big span of land, of loads of key points, very similar to the fantasy we know and love. But you can then add to it later. It goes further out, further out, further out. You can do what the hell you want. You can make your own faction. You can make your own city. You can make a new flesh eater thing. You can make a new Daughters of Cain. You can do the Idoneth that living the lava somehow. I don't know. Figure it out. It's the creativity in Age of Sigmar is just vastless, and that's why I love it. And the models are just the best models. I think they are just incredible.
It's major copium for people trying to like shit talk Age of Sigmar, and they try to point at the models like, look how awful these models are, and it's like, what are you talking about? These things are beauty.
I remember watching Rob, the honest wargamer, my dad. I love him to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching his kind of like his live stream when they showed off the big boy, the Mortarch of not grief, my god, the Mortarch of illusion or disillusion. My god, I'm being silly.
Oh, the ghoul.
The Ushatan.
Yeah.
And he made a good point. It's like, bro, I want to have a Dark Souls boss. You can have your Space Marines. I've got myself
a Dark Souls boss.
You can just see him with a life bar appearing at the bottom. And like, yeah, I mean, the creativity in Age of Sigmar, I'm not sure what GW are doing to the art design, but like, they're letting them go wild. Do what you want. Go crazy. and then that's great. Now going back to the Idoneth Deepkin, they are personally, to my opinion, are being slept on because the ocean, very big, very vast. Where are the giant crabs? Where are the kraken? Where are the big megalodon sharks? They can go. Where's an army of crabs?
There are technically sharks in the army range. Come on, don't hold. Pump
sharks,
your brakes.
Bigger, more crabs, big crabs. My giant enemy crabs with Idoneth on top, shooting arrows down, but it's got a giant claw, like shoot, what's that Pokemon called with the giant Kingler? What's the crab?
I don't know. I'm not a Pokemon fan.
Well, just they have such they have so much they can do. Like, remember when the Underworld team came out with the crab and how popular that crab is? Just make that more crabs.
Or they could do like this Lovecraftian like octopus thing.
Yes, they could have things like, imagine the model, like, you can imagine it on the base where it's curling around pillars that have been sunken through time, and it's got like giant tentacles shooting out, and it's like some Idoneth, like king or queen or prince or whatever they are, just on the back. It's like, with a giant sort of like tridents and stuff. It looks so cool. The Idoneth are incredible.
Or imagine this like art depiction, right? Where it's like this kind of like underwater whale sea god, kind of like from Berserk. Imagine something like that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, I've listened to a lot of stories with the Idoneth Deepkin. I've recently listened to the Gotrek
Soul Slayer. Oh,
Soul Slayer.
buddy.
I listened to that book, and I can tell you, I cried at the end of the book. No spoilers.
No, there will be spoilers. This book is years old. You people had your chance to read it. Get fucked.
I loved how they did things. How like the Fire Slayers were stuck in the mountains because this massive storm would appear out of nowhere, and then people would just disappear, and I don't know how, because of course that's how they do things. They steal people and make people forget. I think that's so clever. Like I said, they're not good guys, but they're not bad guys. They're very in the middle, which I really like about them, because they have to do that. They have to survive.
They're almost like they're almost like Diet Drukari, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I understand why, because their kids are not born with souls.
Most of the time they're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and they look at Gotrek and, bro, this guy is old. His soul is powerful. We need that.
And that's what I kind of like about Gotrek within AoS, is that there's always a reason why the other factions want to get at Gotrek, because like, oh, there's this giant stone in his chest that can make him into like an avatar of Grimnir. And at the same time, he's basically almost a pseudo wandering god. So there's a lot you can do out of that.
Exactly. Like that book was that series of books were incredible. Like I've only read 3 so far. I've not read the latest one with
I have.
I think it's called Blight Slayer. Is that any good? Because I heard mixed things about it, because it seems like it took a twist, and like with characters and stuff like
that. So spoilers. Malineth isn't in the story, and you would know why, because of the ending of Soul Slayer.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
So it's still the same kind of story, like of how they write him or how they follow the characters. It's basically the same style and same direction. But I'm wondering if this is a thing now they're going to do going forward, where it's like Gotrek as a new companion after every 3 books. I have a theory if that's something that they're going to do because of Malineth, and he has a new companion now in this book. So I'm wondering if that's something they're doing, but I don't know why they got rid of Malineth, because I thought she was like a good character for Gotrek.
Yeah, I wouldn't say she's a replacement for Felix, because you can't replace Felix.
You can't replace Felix, but he's an interesting like contradiction to Gotrek.
Exactly. And I think she was great. She was fantastic. And the fact is, Gotrek hates elves. In Realm Slayer, he's like, ugh, elf. He hated the elves, and like she was following him because of the rune in his chest, and she was like, I hate this guy, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna rip this out. By the end of it, she sacrifices herself to save him, and it's like, that's why I was like tearing up like a little baby. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. I think
you too deserve babies.
I listened to the audiobook, and what I usually do when I listen to audiobooks, I put a little bit of ambience in the background, like a little bit of like background music, like painting. And I just stopped painting. I was just listening to the story. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I was like, "Fuck!"
I didn't think this would end this soon.
Yeah, me neither.
It's only been like 4 books. And I was devastated that she died. Devastated.
Yeah, it's
Spoilers, by the way.
and it's like if you listen to Gotrek's like earlier journeys in the fantasy eras, it's like he's flat out with his racism towards elves.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
It's like perfume
hilarious.
wearing, dress twirling.
Yeah,
It's like
he does
whoa,
not
Gotrek,
like-
whoa, settle down.
When he says like elves, he's got like a lovely sort of like elves, and he's like, okay, he really does not like elves.
Knife
Understandable,
ears.
especially a dark elf. What she is, you know.
Yeah, exactly, and but yeah, I guess that's why I just find AOS to be so interesting. Yeah, because of what we just said is how there's almost no limitations to your creativity of what you want to do with something like it.
Exactly. The world is, you can either follow like the traditional things of like following the army colors like myself because I'm boring, or you can just go nuts and do what the hell you want. You can customize stuff. You can put things around the place. It's great. Like I'm basic. Like I am with the new Cities of Sigmar army because I was a Stormcast boy until the Cities of Sigmar came out. I was like,
Yes, and that's something. Yes, and that's something I actually wanted to talk about. Actually, about Cities of Sigmar, right? So that's your current most favorite faction, if that's safe to say, for Age of Sigmar. Yeah,
my favorite faction for Age of Sigmar. I love it. I love the city. I love the Cities of Sigmar. It's an incredible range, and the possibilities for this range is endless. What they can do.
Yeah, what I especially like is that they went to the direction of making them like early medieval gunpowder warfare. Right, they kept to that idea like they did with the Empire from fantasy, but the difference is that the Cities of Sigmar, I think, carry their own weight because they have their more of an identity to them, or their own identity, and it looks like they have more of a Gothic look when compared to the Holy Roman Emperor, look from Warhammer Fantasy. And I think that for me, it builds so much character and has them carrying so much of their own weight,
Yeah,
where it's like you can recognize these. We can recognize these as, oh, this is the Cities of Sigmar. Whereas for the Empire, it's like, oh, these look like men from the Holy Roman Empire. But it's like, oh no, this is the Empire from Warhammer Fantasy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the ranges, like the stories, the range and stuff is so. Like I said, I'm a big fan of like sort of like human relatable. I can't even say the word. Ugh. I like the idea of like the basic human just in a horrendous setting. So it's kind of like, oh, I can relate to this guy. That's the word I wanted to say, relatable. Didn't come out like the first time. It's relatable. It really is. But like, it's very different because like a lot of people from the Empire and like the Cadian troops of 40k, they're very sort of proper. They look like soldiers, which is fine. Of course, they're meant to be soldiers. But the Cities of Sigmar range, if you look at the basic steel helm, like the basic troop for them, the body proportions and the size, the tall, how wide they are, is vast. Because a lot of them are just citizens doing the
That's
crusade.
right.
They're not soldiers. They just picked up a club, got this massive religious fervor, or were forced into it, wink, wink, and they were set on a crusade. They just like, from a pub, a friend Dave in a pub. Oh, they got like a massive religious fervor. They've taken the coin Malleus.
I love me Empire, love me beer, love me Crips. Don't like orcs, don't like them.
Love my Sigmar. Don't like them. But then like his friend Dave just got shoved into a sack in front of him, and it's like, oh boy, it's. I love him. Like the range is just incredible. But like what I love as well with like the
it does tell a story. Well, like, sorry to interrupt, but it does really tell us a story from how this might sound cliche, but how diverse the humans are within Cities of Sigmar, because you do get like the wide fellows, because like you said, most of them can be regular people from the pub.
Hello?
Oh no, I'm still here. You're good.
Oh, you broke up, man. I was like, oh no, the internet has died.
Oh no. But like you said earlier, it's like it might sound cheesy to say, but you are right where it's like how diverse the human range is within the Cities of Sigmar, because a lot of them are just regular people who are probably from the pub and were actually go on this crusade. Like that's how it is. Like, not every single soldier is going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Exactly. Like going back to the range quickly again, like a lot of them are not pretty. They're not pretty people. Like for instance, like they're not Stormcast. They're not these prim, proper, like made by the gods, abs on abs, beautiful face. They look gorgeous. They're like statues.
Yeah.
Look at the basic steel helm. Yeah, they're a priest model I've painted. He's literally a big fat guy. He's got a missing tooth. He's got receding hairline. He's got a mole. He is gross. And then you look at another sort of like a very small, sort of skinny lady. She looks like she's malnourished and stuff. You can see her cheekbones. And then
this is not Victoria's Secret model? Oh, God.
Exactly. Oh, you're ugly. It's like, yeah, that's the point. They're normal. They have nothing. Like,
There's normal people in life, guys. Come on.
Exactly. But even if you look at the sergeants are soldiers. Like, of course, they're the sergeants. Like, the leader I've got, she's this incredible lady. She's like booming. She's got like this giant flipping hammer with a huge sort of like helmet with like a plume on the top. Not a plume, but like kind of like a.
That is what it is.
Her out, basically. Yeah. And she has a giant shield, and she looks like a soldier. But then if you look at Dave down the line, he's like got like, he's just a big fat dude or a big skinny dude, and he's really small. Oh, all right, then you're for Sigmar, yeah. And then that's it. And that's fantastic. And then you look at the Cavalier range, the horses. In my opinion, they're too detailed. They're incredible models, too detailed.
That can be a little thing to actually criticize CW on, is that sometimes they over detail stuff too much.
Exactly. Like I've painted one Cavalier model because how detailed they are. One model. It's gorgeous, and I'm very happy with it. It took me forever to do, but I call this lady my thick beauty. She's a big fat lady sitting on a horse, poor horse, and she's got this horrible gash on her face, huge gash on her face, and she's this big fat face. She's this big, like, kind of like a noble, essentially. It's like she's a noble. That's what
I can get that.
So she got like, the Cavaliers are very like, hoity-toity, like, oh yeah, I'm a Cavalier, I'm with you.
For the Sigmar.
Oh, Sigmar's pretty good, yeah. Like in like one of the books I listened to, like even with the books as well, like the relatability of some of the books, like you have like Callus and Toll, the new sort of witch hunter and the Free Guilds guy, or then you have the Van Dents, you have the father and the daughter witch hunters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Their stories are incredible stories. And in the Van Dent story of like it's a very recent book, so that's when the new range came out, and it was really fun to listen to. Like the steel helms are marching down, slaying down bats and werewolves and stuff. Then you have the Fusiliers behind, picking off the bats that are flying above them, and then you got like this hoity-toity Cavalier with like the classic sort of like spinning mustache, going, and he charges in, and he's like, and he's trying to take the charge and win glory and stuff, and it's fantastic. Really fun, the Cities of Sigmar, and how they've actually changed, because when Age of Sigmar came out, of course, it was everything was in the air. So you can have the old Empire models.
I will say this: Age of Sigmar didn't have the greatest of starts, and that is something that everybody had the right to punch down on. But how Age of Sigmar stands now, especially with 4th edition, it's like you have no actual argument on why you can justify calling it Age of Shitmar.
It's a very boring topic. I can understand when it first came out, considering what happened. Like, I remember when it happened, because I wasn't really into Warhammer then. I was more into my being an MLG Pro Halo player back then. And my friend was into Warhammer. He was into Warhammer Fantasy, and he was talking about the end times. And he got the books and stuff. He got like the new Nagash model. And then I remember him ringing to me because, Rob, it's gone. I said, what do you mean it's gone? He goes, end times. Warhammer Fantasy's gone. It's gone.
You maniacs! You blew it up!
It's been replaced by Age of Sigmar. And I was like, what's Age of Sigmar? And he explained to me, because are you aware of the rules and stuff they had in Age of Sigmar when it first came out? It was bad. There was I
was aware of like how bad it was. It's like what rules? It's like, what rules are there? Rules.
That their excuse was, just pick what's fair for you. I was like, okay, I'm going to bring 3 Scarbrands. I think that's fair.
Oh yeah, so fair. And they did something like that for 40K, didn't they? It's like you can technically field a whole army of dreadnoughts. It's like, fuck the stratagem or how you're supposed to build these armies. Fuck all of that. Do what you want. It's like, do you think anybody's going to play fair with that?
Here's the one of the rules what I didn't like. I think the guy's now gone from the company. Don't quote me on that. But basically, he came up with the rule as well. Like, oh yeah, if you're playing as Bretonia And if you hold a goblet like a goblet, you can do a speech for the lady. You have +1 to hits. If you're a dwarf and you have a big beard, you have +1 to your charges. If you're the ghouls and you're eating a piece of meat, so on and so forth. It was just stupid party rules, and it's like, bro, this is what's supposed to be a competitive game. And I believe I listened to Rob, the Honest Warhammer, Honest Wargamer, my dad, literally talk about the community saved Age of Sigmar, because like the rules there, the whole double turn thing, which is quite controversial. I really like the double turn in my opinion, but it was saved by the community. And like I remember the first codexes, not codex, so battle tomes. The art was just a bit weird. The map was horrible. There was nothing there. They kind of just they quite pretty much literally like threw shit on a wall and see what stuck.
Yes,
and see what worked. And I'm not sure how they did it, but they nailed it. Like if you compare the first battle tome, because I've got some of the first Fire Slayer battle tomes, and they weren't great. The maps were just a bit they looked kind of like paint sort of like thing. They kind of like Photoshop. Oh, let's come and put it on there. But now the maps, it's so fleshed out now. Like
it is.
I mean, it needs more, in my opinion. Like the foundation, it has. I think Age of Sigmar has an incredible foundation. It's a solid foundation. They just need to build on it now, like a lot. Because like 40k, there was like I can spend hours talking about 40k in the lore and stuff like that.
It's just that 40k. Have that. It's just that 40k had years to build itself up, but Age of Sigmar didn't have that exact time to build itself up to make something well established. But all I'm saying is that right now, especially for 4th edition, it has its own identity. It has a story to tell, and it's very interesting. That's why I like Age of Sigmar. Like especially the trailer for 4th edition. That was just perfect. Oh my
god, that was incredible.
Sigmar lied.
It was so good. And I like how the Stormcast have gone now. I mean, I was never a fan of thick cast. I know it's probably controversial to some people. I never liked the thick cast. They looked just too bulky. Looked a bit weird.
They looked like golems.
When the mage faction came out with the female Stormcast, the sort of like the flowing capes and stuff, that's when the range started to change for me. I was like, I like the Stormcast.
Yeah.
Then of course the Thunderstrike came out, which was just a million times better in my opinion. I feel bad for the people that lost all their armies when GW thought, we're going to cut all these guys, especially the guys who made like a 2,000 point. I knew a guy, bless him, he's had like a 2,000-3,000 point army of like
Sacrosanct.
The spell guys gone. Yeah, the Sacrosanct. Sorry, they're gone. I mean, of course, you can still use them casually. If you're playing casually and you're like, oh, you can't use them, you're a dick.
It's like, and there's nothing also wrong with like putting them on your display and appreciating them, because it's also a hobby at the end of the day, guys.
Exactly. Like going full circle back to what I was talking about with like, with like the Empire. I know, going back to that now. That they didn't have much, they were just like, they're just the Empire from fantasy. That's what they were. And I love how they changed that they actually changed it in the lore as well, because the armor sets they had, for instance, in Hammer Hell Action, the main city, they wore lots of gold and blue to represent the colors of the Hammers of Sigmar that actually made that city.
Oh, I think I remember that. Like when
fun,
yeah, years ago when they were doing that, and there is a stark contrast between like what Cities of Sigmar. They came out in 3rd edition, right? Like they became an army at that time.
Yeah, like,
no, 4th, 2nd edition. That's when 2nd edition is when it was like a bundle of old models. But 3rd edition, that's when it was proper Cities of Sigmar, like actual independent models. Yeah,
they only came out last year. The Cities of Sigmar.
That's what I mean. It's like 3rd edition. That's when they came out, like actual models. And
but it's really fun with a bit of lore very quickly. The reason why they changed their colors is because
there's a lore reason.
There's a lore reason. This is why the armors have changed. This is why they have big shields and stuff.
Okay.
It's all because of one person, my beloved Talia Vedra, the woman on the Manticore.
Oh yes, she was the one that did the whole thing.
She basically, she was a mercenary for a while, and she was a part of the Reclaimed. The Reclaimed are the people who are not a part of the cities. They're on the outskirts of the city, being brought into the fold of Sigmar. So she's not this hoity-toity noble from the realms of heaven coming down to like spread the word of Sigmar. She's like, okay, Sigmar's cool, but I want to do that. And then essentially what happened was she was in a campaign, and her captain, they got ambushed by the Cruel Boys, and you don't want to get ambushed by the Cruel Boys.
Mhm.
They are horrible. And her leader of this crusade, it was a Dawnbringer crusade, he got killed. He got shot in the throat by a bolt by one of the Cruel Boys. And essentially, they're like, all hope is lost. And this one, she turned around and said, okay, pull off every piece of wood we have on the wagons and use them as shields. And they used like, kind of like a moving castle.
Okay.
And then eventually, it took a while, but eventually they got to their destination. And of course, this is the time when Dawnbringer Crusades, even now, they're not going well. They're losing lots of people, like hundreds, like thousands and thousands of people.
And this is not
Dawnbringer
40k where it's
Crusade-
like you can just summon a Primaris army and launch a crusade and take back like planet after planet. That's not how it works in Age of Sigmar, and that's fresh and new. That it's not immediately successful for humans.
It's really sad because, like, imagine you're in a Dawnbringer Crusade, right? You've been bringed up this massive religious fervor, or like forced into it, wink, wink. And you can actually quite literally walk past the Dawnbringer Crusade for you to replace, and they're dead. So what the hell are you walking into?
Then what happens? You walk into the walk into like a Slaneshi cultist army. It's like fuck.
Anything. It's you have the giants, you have chaos, you have Skaven, you have grots, you have everything. It's hard. Even the realm itself wants to kill you. But Talia Vedra essentially succeeded with this crusade. It took her forever because they would stop, start, because of course the crusade, they were getting ambushed. But they pushed the Cruel Boys back. They got to their destinations. And it's essentially Hammerhell Action essentially is like, let's just say it like it's kind of like the High Lords of Terror in a way.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the main body, they're like the main rules. It's the main place for industrial stuff. It's the big city. They're like, yo, she did it. Oh my god. What did she do? She had giant shields. Mass produce shields. Make loads of shields. She's like, no, don't do that. This worked in this situation. But it'll be really bad in deserts or really bad in like jungles when there's no vision and stuff, and like you got to carry these giant shields. They didn't care. They just kept throwing them out. Bum, 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 bum. So there's name mass produced this giant like sort of like crusade of like castle walls. That's why there's big shields. That's why everything was like, so it's like lined like a walking castle, which is really fun. But eventually she got really high. She got really high up in the in this sort of like the command structure. She was one of the boys. She wasn't this hoity-toity, stupid Griffith character from Berserk. She was like Guts essentially. She was the boys.
Oh,
like drinking.
I like that. Cards. I like that.
She really took care of her men. She would give them extra rations, extra alcohol, because morale is a very important thing. But eventually, she started hearing rumors about these corrupt individuals in the place. And these were like they were trying to like essentially undermine the city of Hammerhell, the big city. Mm-hmm. And one was like they did some horrendous stuff. I'm brushing a lot over. They did some horrendous stuff like burning people were going missing, greed, this, that, and the other, blah 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 blah. And so eventually she did a coup. She did her own coup. She attacked the main sort of like council room, and I believe the line she said was like. What was the line? It was such a fun line. Just like quit your sniveling talks. Time to die, cowards, or something like that. And she murdered these four higher up. She's murdered them in front of the whole council, in front of Stormcast, in front of like some really, really high individuals. She murdered them, and then she got promoted for it.
And probably like finally someone did what I wanted to do.
Exactly, and this is why. And then you have the boy, the big boy himself, a Bastalion. Oh my god, Lord Commander Bastian Cathalos. Like he is like the Primaris like captain essentially of the Hammers of Sigmar. He is like the chapter master. He is the boy.
The boy.
He was like, "Yo, I liked what you did. I like your stuff. I'm promoting you to the first marshal of Hammerhell." She is like top dog now, and that's when the armor color started changing from yellow and gold and blue to like reds and stuff because it's more like the fiery nature of Hammerhell, and that's when the uniforms started changing for the other cities as well, and it's frowned upon by the people in Hammerhell if you wear the gold and blue because you're a noble scum, we don't like you.
That's actually really interesting. I didn't actually think that was the reason why they changed the color scheme. I just thought they changed it, just for sake of changing, or they had different ideas they wanted to share out. But I didn't know there was this clever lore reason for why they did all that, and that's actually pretty cool. That's actually really interesting.
It's really fun. That's again, Hammerhal actually is like the industrial place. It's like
it's the industrial place, and that's what I find so cool too. It's like I like how there's like. Sorry, I like how there's like Hammerhal Aksha. They're the most industrious of Hammerhal. Then there's Hammerhal Gyran, and they're not so industrious when compared to Aksha, and they're more into like foot soldiers.
They're actually called the breadbasket of the realms. These guys, because it's the realm of life, they make the food. If it weren't for Gyran, a lot of places would starve to death.
Mm-hmm.
So Gyran and Hammerhal, of course, they're the twin cities, aren't they? They're together. There's a realm gate that connects both cities. So what Gyran do? They send food to them as well. They send water. They send they're called Aquagranis. It's a very important water. Aquagranis stop corruption of chaos.
Oh yeah,
it can heal basically any wounds, and people in Hammerhal Aksha use it as currency, which is really fun. But they send food and all that sort of stuff, and livestock and all that stuff to Hammerhal Aksha and the rest of the realms. And in exchange for that, Hammerhal Aksha sends weapons to them and munitions and stuff, and also sends a stream, like a river of lava to them, because they have to constantly fight the trees growing and overtaking the city. So there's like a lava stream blocking off the city.
Oh, this is like the lava mode. I heard something about this in the audio drama once. Yeah.
If you look at it's actually in the book. It's actually in the Hammer. No, it's in the animation of Black Talon. You see Black Talon looking over the massive portal of Gyran, and there's a giant lava stream leading into the portal.
It's like, that's actually pretty cool.
Stopping the growth. It's again, this is what the thing they can do with Age of Sigmar. It's just so much fun you can do with it.
There is, and it kind of shows that there's still a bit of tension between like Sigmar and Alariel, because even though technically they're allies, they have their own little interests here and there.
Oh yeah, there's tension with everyone. Like you had Sigmar, you had Teclis, you had Tyrion, you had Alariel, you had Nagash, you had Gork and Morka for some stupid reason, and then you had the two brothers, Grimnir and oh my god, people are gonna kick my ass for this. Oh my god, the crafting god. Oh my god, he's so important.
Grundy.
I can't believe his name. Yeah, the Sig crafting god. People are like, really, I'm only going to get chewed out for that. Some people, but yeah, he's the crafting god, and they're all together, all happy, lucky enough. And then everyone went their separate ways during the Age of Chaos, especially Nagash. I mean, Nagash is a bit of a trickster. He is.
Yeah, and this is actually something I found interesting too, right? Especially now with some of the lore they're writing for 4th edition. So first and foremost, I really like the Skaventide box, right? The new Stormcast models, they look striking in their new armor. It looks really great. The new Skaven stuff is such a glow up. They're amazing. I actually like this bit though of lore that they decided to make with the Great Horned Rat, and that they made him into a proper 5th Chaos God within the Pantheon.
Oh yeah, I think that's such a great idea to do. It's brilliant.
It's like he's not a lesser Chaos God. He's an actual, 5th member of the Ruinous Powers. And yeah, that's pretty cool. And there's so much you can do with that too. It's like, imagine humans worshiping the Great Horned Rats. Or imagine the Great Horned Rat now be able to make his own armies of, Skaven demons. Like he has a kind of demon, but now that he's more powerful, imagine he can make whole armies of demons of his own. Or imagine this. Imagine him ascending a Skaven into becoming a demon prince.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I like the idea of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
funny enough, you saying that of humans worshipping Skavens. The newest book of the Dark Oath new book. It's a new book for the Dark Oath, like the barbarian faction.
Yeah. They're basically Age of Sigmar's answer to the
Marauders and stuff like that. Yeah,
Marauders, or what they're called. What's that? Northern
Norska.
Norska, thank you. They're basically Norskins.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this person was forced into it or not, but in the book, I'm about probably 20 minutes into the book, probably 20 minutes. Sorry, about 20% into the book. There was a guy worshipping the great horned rat, and he's part of the Dark Oath. Now he's worshipping the great horned rat. And this book is up to date. It is very, very, very recent in the lore. This is when, like, the fourth edition Skaven city blowing out from the ground. This is a little bit after.
Yeah.
So they're worshipping the horned rat, which is it's really fun.
Yeah, it's like that is interesting. There's like you said, almost during this whole show, there's so much you can do with Age of Sigmar, because now you can do humans worshiping Skaven and possibly being, demon princes of the Great Horned Rat. Like, imagine a demon prince of the Horned Rat, right? And it's a giant rat with wings.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So take the most vanilla demon prince, but make him rat looking with wings. That'd be fucking metal.
I think it's Skaven as well. Like, I think it was such a crime for GW not updating them for a year, because they are a fan favorite. I mean, if you look at just Total War Warhammer 3, they are like a faction favorite, and they didn't update their models for years. And I'm so glad for the Skaven player, because I'm not going to get them myself. But I think I'm going to pick up that
the Skaventide box. I think that's going to be my first ever Age of Sigmar box I'll pick up, right? And
it's a great box.
Let me tell you, the new Grey Seer and the Rat Ogres, you can literally make them to be OG Thanquol and Bone Ripper. That's how perfect they are.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the Thanquol and Bone Ripper model?
I have them.
It's incredible. I love it.
I haven't finished them for years. I haven't finished them.
But now's the time to finish them with the new box. I can kind of see why, because this model looks really nice, up to date, and looks fancy.
No, it says I start something, then I'll say, I'll finish the layer, but I don't finish it.
And then there's a nice layer of dust.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah, exactly. The Skaven rules as well, they're so funny. Like, you can just, you can overpower everything and just wipe out an army, or you wipe yourself out because you just blew up.
And it's lore accurate, because the Skaven always backstab each other. That's what makes them awesome. They're horrible shits.
Yeah, I didn't blow it up. You blew it up. It's your fault, not me. I didn't push the button.
Or someone actually did press the button, but they're just scheming to make it sound like it's someone else's fault.
Exactly. The Skaven are just such a phenomenal faction. I think Games Workshop need to keep making models for these and keep making stuff for the Skaven, because even Total War Warhammer in Age of Sigmar as well. Like, there's a really funny thing in Age of Sigmar, just very quick about it. The Skaven, how they get around the world, they do something called Narholes.
Yes. Yes, I've heard.
Narholes, they eat between realms, and sometimes, of course, the casualty rate for the Skaven is so high on these things. It's making minds. One time, seeing you an Idenef fan, this kind of relates to you.
Yeah, they dug beneath the ocean by accident, right?
That's the one. Yeah, they dug under the ocean, just drained the ocean, and Idenef were like, "What the fuck?"
That's lore. That's something they would do.
Like just get killed, and it's like, there's so more Skaven out here, because there's trillions of Skaven. There's trillions.
Yeah, it's
there's always more rats.
There's always more. It's like, you're not going to get rid of every single rat on the planet. That's not possible.
No, definitely. Like, I'm very looking forward to the new model they're bringing out. Like, the new models they have up there, like, you got like the Giselles, you have the clan rats, like you have the new rat ogres that look incredible. You have the leader on the weird beast, and he's got himself his favorite, the good old cancer stick he's got. Looks so good.
Like, that rat looks like it could be from a swamp or something, because of how dank it is.
Yeah. The conversion you can do with the bases as well is endless. And Skaven can just do what the hell they want. And the Skaven are generally terrifying, and
they're terrifying, but at the same time funny.
Oh yeah, exactly. They are weak, horrible, pathetic things, but they're evil. They are terrifying. I've played many hours of Vermintide, and when you see a horde of Skaven, it's like, oh my goodness, it's just me.
Yeah, we made emphasis that they can be funny, but at the same time, with something like Skaventide, like you said, they're also horrifying, because imagine fighting off all these rats in like a dark city, and more rats are just pumping out of the sewers. It's like, oh, fuck.
It's quite literally a wave of Skaven. It's very, like I said, kind of similar to the orcs in a way. Like in 40k, the orcs are they're very comical, this that, and the other, which I do think is a bit a shame because they are funny, they're great characters. But if you look at like some of the stories that the orcs do, especially like in Armageddon or like in the like a lot of the Crimson Fist storylines, the orcs are horrifying. Especially then a story I listened to, I think it was either it's either Armageddon or it's the Crimson Fist one, where the human populace the orcs captured turned them into like kind of vegetables walking around, and they would just pull out their teeth because it's money. That's what the humans are there for. And they were just these horrible.
That's just horrible. Yeah, that is horrible.
They were just in a cave, that just kind of walking around, mulling to themselves. I think they were just born into this. They were just born like this.
Oh fuck!
And all their teeth are missing because the orcs use it for currency.
That's fucking horrible. That's.
I mean, funny, haha, orc pirate teleports around the place. Fair enough, but like the layer is like they are terrifying. Like again, more of a tangent to orcs. Age of Sigmar, cruel boys. They are terrifying. The cruel boys are. Like a lot of the stories I've listened to are usually from the perspective of like humans getting attacked by the cruel boys. And in a short story I listened to, the Stormcast are sent out to find this Dawnbringer crusade, and they eventually find them. Because at the beginning of the book, they are getting attacked by the cruel boys and they get captured by them. You don't want to be captured by the cruel boys.
Yeah, if you think like 40k orcs are cruel, like cruel boys are literally the literal, all things bad that can be from Mork, but given into flesh. Like they're not brutal and cunning; they're cunning and brutal. They're more emphasis on the cunning.
They will not fight people unless they know there's a high chance they can win. That's why they do ambushes and stuff, and that's why they do swamp and mob. Where, no matter where they are, even if in the realm of fire, if they're in the tundra, doesn't matter where they are, they can create a swamp because that's just how they work. And with the short story, being very quick about it, the Stormcast eventually come up to this prison camp of these humans trapped in cages, and they've been like being starved for months. They're all malnourished, all bones and stuff. And they talk to the leader, and the leader explains that they took us here and they made us fight each other. And if we refused, they just cut off our hands. And they let us to bleed out, and they would laugh at us. So we had to fight, otherwise we'd be maimed. And we're not eating, by the way. We're not eating. It's been months. We're not drinking. I'm drinking swamp water, and it's not great for me. And essentially, what happened was I got thrown into the cage again. But some of us got removed, and they all shackled everyone up together, and they started removing their tongues one by one along this line, removing their tongues, removing their hands, and then they sent them off into the swamp. And there was these piles of this is in the lore, by the way. It's incredibly grim. There was these piles of tongues on the floor. And these people have not eaten for days.
Like, despite how colorful, how colorful Age of Sigmar can be, it's not shy on dark writing.
No.
It's like
this was horrible.
Like it's not World of Warcraft high fantasy stuff. It's like
some of my dogs are going crazy.
Hello. It's like
hey, calm down, mate. Basically, essentially, the cruel boy looks at the tongues, looks at the guy, smiles, rubs his tummy, and goes yum yum, and throws the tongues at the prisoners.
Oh fuck!
And of course, the prisoners eat the tongues.
Oh fuck!
So it's very bad. Come here, calm down, mate.
It's Sharon being a good boy.
God. It's because someone's outside the door, that's why.
Oh, I have a dog like that too. Don't worry.
Oh. You done? Are you done, mate?
No, there's a stranger.
I think my kids are home, that's why.
I see a stranger. Gotta protect the house.
You done? Or was it Amazon, was it?
But still, I gotta protect the house. I gotta protect the house.
That's him. Yeah, he has to do that.
But no, but yeah, it's like, yeah, Age of Sigmar is not shy on like being grim in its writing, and it's what I think it gives Age of Sigmar, that extra spice on why it's so interesting, because yes, it's very colorful, but it's not shy on writing like classic Warhammer grim darkness. It's like, oh, this is fucking dark.
Exactly, yeah. Like,
It's like, oh,
of course, you
dang.
have like the high sort of pump and sort of like stuff of like the Realm Gate Wars of like, haha, going to battle and stuff. But then you have like short stories and stuff. There was a short story in some of the White Dwarfs when the Cities of Sigmar were coming out, and each sort of like page was a woman leaving her family behind to go, earn riches. Because the idea of the Dawnbringer Crusade is they go out because you live in squalor. There's not much space in the cities and stuff. So they want to go out and try to make a name for themselves, get money, and get their own plot of land so they can give to their new generation. So it's a risk they're willing to take. And you follow the story of a woman who was a part of the Fusiliers, the gun line, and she left her son and her husband behind while she's going to go do this. And eventually it's her essentially saying goodbye to them because they're about to be overrun by Khorne berserkers, and it's quite sad.
Yeah.
It's like the portal's coming down, the mages are dying, we don't have much ammunition left. Goodbye. And it's like, Jesus, that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad, but still people will be like, oh, but it's still Age of Sigmar.
Again, there's some people that just can't be redeemed. Like, people will just like hate it for the fact it is Age of Sigmar. And again, I get it.
Hey, let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live.
Good old, oh God, well, I have no mouth, I must scream.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
quotes.
That is exactly the
Amazing
reference.
Quotes. But I, like, no word of a lie, right? I actually got confronted in person because of Age of Sigmar.
What?
In my local model, yeah, it's pathetic. I was in my local model shop in Leicester, and I was with my friend. I don't really get to see him often because he lives in Lincolnshire. I live in Leicester. It's about an hour and a half away. So he came up the time to see me. And we talked to this guy. He was kind of this 40-year-old big boy. And he was just talking about 40k and this, that, and the other. And then we then proceeded I picked up a box of Age of Sigmar. I picked up I think some Cruel Boys or something else. And we're talking about it. And he turned around and looked because you guys play that in like a really sort of disgusted tone.
Like, oh God, you played that? Oh, why don't you play an ultra chat game like mine? This is Age of Sigmar just for low testosterone beta males who drink soy.
Exactly. It was like, did you guys play that? It's like, yeah. And he goes, why would you play that? It's rubbish. I go, well, why is it rubbish? He goes, well, because it is, because fantasy's better. I go, well, fantasy's not on the shelf now, is it? So what's the difference? Then he started spluttering, and then he waddled off. And it's like, dude, just shut up. It's like, I get it. Fantasy is incredible. Fantasy is amazing. I listen to many, many lore videos of fantasy, and I play Total War games. I never got into Warhammer Fantasy because when I first got into Warhammer in Leicester, out of the 50 people that went into the store, because there was kind of a local group, only like 2 people played fantasy. And there's a reason behind it. There's many people who worked in Games Workshop going, yeah, this is the reason why it died out.
It's because it can be expensive trying to build an army for something like fantasy. Yes. And
at the same time, they never updated it. No one was buying it. I think Paint Rangers was selling more than a whole faction of Warhammer Fantasy.
It was
a shame because again, people put a lot of time and effort into that, and I can feel really bad for them for that reason. Like I'd feel terrible if I pay a 3,000 point army of Cities of Sigmar and I go, yo, yeah, it's gone by the way, and I definitely would feel that. But
like, I'll tell you what, I have this little shelf in my office just dedicated to Bretonnians, right? I have, this is because of Old World when they were selling their boxes, right? I have Knights on Horseback. I have like Pegasus Knights. I'm going to paint them as my OG or original color scheme, right? Bretonnia are awesome, and yeah, that's one of the saving factors of why I like Warhammer Fantasy, because it has Bretonnia.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of the Empire. I'm a big fan of the Dwarfs. I think fantasy is incredible, and I'm really happy that Old World is back for the people who want it. In my opinion, I think they're a bit overpriced. In my opinion, to the point where GW are taking full advantage of nostalgia. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug for some people.
It is a hell of a drug, and sometimes you have to recognize maybe some stuff isn't as good as you might think it is. Because if you look at that one giant they're trying to sell, it's like, it's just so ugly.
Yeah, I did a tweet about that. People were not very happy on the tweet I said about that, which is understandable. Again, people like want it because they wanted it as a kid. People like, want it as like a different version. It's not my decision to say what it looks like. To me, I don't like the model. I don't like the model. I think it's one of the ugliest models. Yeah, I think it's one of the ugliest models GW have made, but that's my opinion. And people can disagree with that, of course. It's up to them. They can want the model as well.
We're not being dickheads. We're just saying it's not our interest. It's okay not to have an interest in something.
And whoa, shocker, GW models are expensive. I get that. And buying directly from GW as well is very expensive.
It's just that these days, how things are priced these days, is like, forget, I'm not starting another army because of everything's too expensive. But now now you no longer have an excuse not to paint your stuff.
Yeah, I have a very big pile of shame of Cities of Sigmar. And
now you can paint it. Now you can paint it because you don't have an excuse to buy more.
Exactly. I'm very bad when it comes to this, but
me too.
But GW know what they're doing with like the online only sort of things. I think they're selling 5 of the old steel ogres. Like you only get 5 of them for like £65 in the UK, which is like, again. You can do what you want with your money, you can spend it how you want, and you want it for nostalgia reasons. You want to get it because you want a kid. You want to get it because why not? But my God, that's a lot of money.
I'm going to get that Bretonnian Paladin, the one that has his sword against it, the orc. I'm going to pick that up once it's in stock again. Like it is resin. It is resin. However, it's sharp.
Yes.
Like that's the saving factor of it. It's like someone showed off one of the new quote unquote new models of the orc that's in resin. It's an old model, but the technology that they use to print it, it's sharp.
Yes.
Like that's the saving factor of it.
I wanted to get into Old World, but the fact is I'm not really a fan of a lot of the old models. That's just my personal preference. And to me, adding the new flashy, incredible HQ models and some elite units next to some models that are like older than I am, just looks a bit strange to me. But again, that's just me. I'm a bit of a pantsy boy when it comes to models. So if I'm ever going to get into Old World, I'm probably going to go. There's a site. It's a 3D printed site of models of like, I think it's called Sunderland. I think they're called. Their models are just stunning.
And I will tell. Sorry, go on.
No, but at the same time, I don't get 3D printing. I'm scared of getting into it, like buying things. I want to get the quality to be good.
That's his own hobby. That's his own hobby, 3D printing. It's like, and people are trying to really hard to emphasize, hey, get into 3D printing, right? Unfortunately, sometimes they come off across as like vegans. Like, it's like, hey, I'm vegan. Don't you know I'm vegan? Hey, can you give me this metal? I'm vegan.
It's hearing the quote of 3D printer go burr for like the 1,000th time.
It's like, shut up. It's like, I'm just trying to help.
It's like when a bit of controversial GW do that. So that's all the comments say, and it's like, thing is done that what they do is they do the daily post. Oh, look at the stock. It's really down. It's like, yeah, but
Games Workshop is doomed. On another video that's like that.
Too many. But at the end of the day, clickbait gets clicks. So make your bread while you can.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you look like it doesn't matter if you look like basically TMZ. It's just got to get the income somehow. Hello.
Sorry, I'm looking at my dog.
It's like, don't you dare! Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Something weird.
It's like, I gotta protect the house.
Yeah, he's more bark than bite. He's a big wimp. He's a Labrador, so he's a big wimp.
However, with that, actually, I think we've reached a good point where I can actually ask you some questions that people have asked of us. If you're interested,
yeah, go for it. I'm happy to ask some questions.
Awesome. And here's one from the famous Pancreas. I can't believe I just said that.
I think I saw this question. I think I just saw the question. I was like,
How can anyone possibly enjoy Cities of Sigmar when Osiarch Bone Rippers are right there?
It's because Pancreas, right, is just a simp for Nagash. He will spread his cheeks wide for Bone Daddy. That's all he is. And there's no reason why. There's no convincing him. Like, he loves his taxes. He loves his guys looking like bootleg Crimson Chin characters, while the Cities of Sigmar are just based. I'm trying to use lingo here. Are just better in my opinion, and they don't like paying taxes to Bone Daddy. So
Now
I don't know
hold
what he's
on.
talking about.
Hold on. Now I will tell you what, right? The Bone Reapers, I really like their lore idea where it's like instead of just them being skeletons, they're more like, fused, multiple fused skeletons, warped together. It's like there is an actual art on making them, right? It's like they sculpt them, they put bones from multiple people together to make one, soldier. I like that idea, and it's pretty metal. It sounds, take art of them, that could be like a metal album cover.
More sort of like, I was more like a jesting, but Ocean Bone Reapers, I think, are an incredible, unique faction of like super soldiers. And
also, I can't help but imagine like that one skeleton from Army of Darkness, like its flute is like a bone. I like to imagine it's like that for them. Angry Duting.
The range is fantastic. Like Nagash is essentially his like fighting to like the Stormcast Eternals, taking the best what makes a soldier and sticking it in there, and then quite literally making Play-Doh, making like great soldiers. Like, have you seen the new Warcry version of it? Like, where there's like a centaur model as well.
Yeah, that's
possibilities are quite endless what they can do.
Exactly. And here's a good question, actually. I think we sort of answered this earlier, but I think that I'll ask this question anyways, but just technically too. Which AoS faction do you think has the best models and lore?
See, of course, I would simp about Age of Sigmar, like the Cities of Sigmar, because I'm very biased towards that. But like with some of the, there's so many great ranges and stuff. I really like the Lumineth Realm Lords. They are an incredible faction because I love the idea of like the avatar of Earth, Wind, and Fire for like the different sort of cults as well. But like, if I had to put, this is really tough. I think some of the best, if I had to pick like kind of like my top three, because like, and I'm already going to say Cities of Sigmar. I'm not going to say Stormcast, because Stormcast are great. I'm going to have to pick a Chaos faction, I think, actually. I think the new range of Slaves to Darkness models are just incredible. And the fact is now you can add the Dark Oath to them as well. I think that range just looks great, and it just screams heavy metal album cover music.
It like does, and it basically is, and they basically have their own version of the Wendigo, so that's awesome.
Yes, exactly. Like, you have the basic Chaos Warriors, they're all doing the Path of Glory. Their armor looks incredible. It's beaten. And it's like, you got these badass women with covered in scars and stuff. These men have no eyes and stuff. You got the Chosen model, the new Chosen models that looks like incredible, but I scream at seeing the trim. They look just invincible. And then, of course, you got the new Dark Oath. I love that. Like I'm listening to that lore.
The Dark Oath, my bad.
Dark Oath, like barbarians, like following the Chaos Gods. I love that.
There's a Wendigo. They have a Wendigo. I can't emphasize this point enough. They have the Wendigo in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. And the fact you can add them both together, I absolutely adore the range. I'm terrified to even start them because I do get intimidated by models quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, it's really hard to pick because I'm such a simp for a lot of the Age of Sigmar models because they just look so good. And then you have like I can't pick one. I really cannot pick one. Even the Death factions are really fantastic. Like, you got the Soulback Grave Lords, the Night Haunt, the Osiark Bone Reapers.
The Fleshier Chords, man. That range was great.
Because I can't say the Cities of Sigmar yet, because even though I love the range and I'm so biased towards them, there isn't actually that much models with them at the minute. There's only a handful of models.
Mm-hmm.
But a model that actually, I think, looks really unifying again with the Slaves of Darkness. I think the Lumineth Realm Lord look good because once they're all together clumped up, it looks like an actual functioning, solid army. I really like the Lumineth. I think the Lumineth are probably one of the most good-looking armies, especially as a guy I follow on Twitter. He paints the Lumineth in such a way with white armor and green cloth and green plumes and a nice solid green. He makes them just look so incredible.
Mm-hmm. But I will tell you what, my favorite faction, and this goes along with like models, right? That would actually be the Gloomspite Gits.
Oh my god, I forgot about them. Yes, the Gloomspite Gits are incredible.
Yeah, it's like it goes along too with
an army.
That it goes along too with like how dark Warhammer Age of Sigmar writing can be. because when the bad moon hangs over you, the mushroom horror, that's what I'm going to call it, is really fucking spooky. Because like
yeah, 100%. Like we both read the book for the
Gloomspite
Slayer. Oh my god, that is terrifying with the mushrooms growing over people and like you become
Gloomspite and there's Git Slayer. Yes, though, and there's especially everyone is affected by it, especially Chaos.
Yes.
Like you see that one prince guy, he has like his whole head has turned to like a crescent moon. That's disgusting. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, the Gloomspite Gits. I mean, when they came out, like the models have such flow to them, the bouncing. I think probably they need to like change the troops, but at the same time, if there's grots, you don't need to have like new fancy looking grots, but they probably do that anyway. But like, you can have such, the rules are really fun for them, and
especially squigs, all the squigs you can do.
Knights, I just have a whole squig army. I remember I was watching a battle report for like the Gloomspite Gits, and it was really funny to watch because like these glooms, like there was a massive horde of like squigs charged a unit. They lost like all of their squigs, and then more came back because they were near the shrine. It was just like the idea of an endless horde of like goblins and mushroom things and squigs, and then the giant mangler squig, and then you can add like trolls to them as well. Let's not forget Trug, the good old Trug. Who gets headaches because he has like a realm gate on his back, so he has to bang his head and change the power he has. I love Trug. Trug's fantastic.
And what's amazing about that, when he came out and he had this like little miniature army of trolls with him, technically speaking, that's an army of trolls.
Yes. Regenerating so much in the lore. I'm not sure if you know what happened to him in the lore in the Dawnbringer Crusade. He messed up the Hammerhal Axia Crusade big time. And the only way he got stopped is by a lady, what's her name? Pontifex Zenestra. She is like the religious thing of the... I've not told you about this one, a bit of a tangent. Do you know the Cult of the Wheel?
Yeah, I read that book.
The Cult of the Wheel is so stupid. I love it. And she's like the leader of the Cult of the Wheel. And essentially, she stops Trug by shooting beams out of herself, spinning like a wheel. And it stops Trug.
What?
It's stupid. And like, of course, these like religious people will go, the wheel is so sacred. I'm going to take this wheel off this wagon and run off with this wheel because it's sacred. It's like, get the wheel back.
We need it for the tank.
So we need some like Cities of Sigmar. I'm going always back to Cities of Sigmar. We need like some like flagellant guys, but for like the Cult of the Wheel. It'd be brilliant.
That'd be funny.
No, I agree with you. Going back to the Gloomspite Gits, incredible army. Anyone who has a fully painted army of them, hats off to you. They look incredible.
Yeah, I really wish that was a faction I was hoping to start, but never got around to doing it. I really wish I did though, because they are pretty cool. I think they're my favorite like faction in Age of Sigmar. If I were to like pick 3, they would be one of them.
Yeah, my top 3, of course, will have to be the new Stormcast because I'm a simp. The Cities of Sigmar, then I have to pick the Slaves to Darkness because I think the Slaves to Darkness is such a great antagonist and such a horrible faction. It's great because then you can mix all these sort of like fun things with them as well, and they're great. And I really like the Heathen Knights of Slaanesh model because the one thing I don't like about Warhammer, as a hate thing, Slaanesh, you're only about sex. Oh, it's so sex. It's like, no, you don't understand, you loser.
It's like there's a lot more that goes into Slaanesh than that, guys.
I mean, don't be wrong. It's a big thing. Don't be wrong.
It's a big thing, but it's not the rule.
Exactly. It's the excess of anything. You can do the highest of highs.
Like money, food, and hedonites reflect this. Like you have this fat bastard because he's, gluttony, and that's what Slaanesh is too. It's like he's also gluttony.
Exactly. Like the excess of food, eating so much that you bulges and eating things you shouldn't really be eating. You can do anything. You can be obsessed with the colors of paint to the excessive amount of the lowest of lows.
Yes.
Having the most exotic, incredible, dangerous animals. And that's what I love about it. But people, always do that. It just annoys me.
Mm-hmm. But no, it's like, Slaanesh, big tits, that's so funny, huh?
It's boring, and it's like, it's like South Park humor. Like you're like, buddy, I can understand when you were a kid doing South Park humor, but when you're like, dude, you're like 30. Like, stop.
Or early South Park humor, but
Oh yeah.
here's a good question actually. What are your hopes for the new edition of AoS?
Oh god, the new edition for the AoS, like, is that like with rules or just like models and stuff? Or just mainly the rules, yeah.
I guess his idea of the question is like maybe rules, but I'm thinking more like direction of story or with the narrative going forward. I think.
See, I've not caught up with the lore yet for the Dawnbringer Crusades, but
that's me too. Like, I have no hopes on finishing that, but I do want to go on this engine, being that it's kind of difficult for there to be I want stuff to happen in a setting. Like, I want there to be a reason why people keep coming back because they want to see something happen, but at the same time, I think Games Workshop need to be careful too of writing a story, because a story eventually needs an ending, and we all know what happens when they tried writing an ending for a setting.
Well, it's like with anything. Well, all like in one of the biggest stories in the Broken Realms, Teclis and Nagash had a fight, and Teclis beat him, got rid of the Necroquake, and then Alaria went, "Yo, boof! I'm doing basically the opposite of like doing a life quake essentially." And essentially nullifying the death magic. That was incredible. The Dawnbringer Crusade, listening to it, there are some great bits, but there are some bad bits. And it's not holding up, personally to me. I don't think it's as good as Broken Realms.
Broken Realms was an experience. That was an experience.
It was very good. It was very good. This one's all right, but it seems like WWE, like, oh, here comes like Kragnos with a steel chair, but here comes like Croak, and then all these characters appearing, getting saved at the last minute. It's like, and then they disappear. Like the Black Talons appeared for 1 minute, and then now they're gone. Krondys and Karazai, the two dragons, they appeared, and now they're gone. You had the new.
That's the point. It's like I forgot about the dragon bit about Kragnos and the two dragon brothers. It's like in third edition, it was like they were going to be built up to be this big thing, but it's like, where are they now?
Exactly. They appear again. It's WWE. They appear with a steel chair, hit, then leave. That's all they're good for, and it's kind of a shame because I'm really kind of digging the individuals, really, like the Dawnbringer Crusades of the Garan thing, like the leader of there. Everyone's become like a fan favorite. She's like this free guild marshal, and she's slowly being turned into like essentially half human, half like tree man.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like a real badass, and it's really fun what she's doing. But then on the other side, you have like main hero characters like winning and stuff. Like Talia Vedra, my favorite character, she was literally in like a page, and now she's gone. It's like, bro, come on, man. She was literally in a page, now she's gone, and it's like, okay. So with the story going forward, like I said, we have like the Skaven popping out of the ground, and you have like the Hell Crown, the main city being attacked by it. I want to see some major characters appear. Like I want Thanquol to appear. Maybe some Gotrek appearing maybe in there. Wink, wink, wink. And then maybe
Sigmar needs a model.
Like, oh yeah, he does.
Sorry to interrupt, but Sigmar needs a model. There's no excuse for him not to have a model. You have all these gods having models. He needs one. It's like there's no excuse why. His name's on the game, guys.
Exactly. I think the reason why he can't is because all his power is being put into the Stormcast, and that's why he gives the power to the Celestant Prime to do his bidding for him. I think that's the reason. That's the lore reason why, anyway. But I agree, Sigmar does need a model. But it'd be nice because apparently in one of the books in I'm not sure if you read this, but the Hamilcar book. You've seen the Hamilcar book?
I haven't.
It's you follow a storm host of the astral whatever. You follow
Astral
Hamilcar,
Templars.
he's the best Stormcast. Astral Templars. Thank you. You follow Hamilcar, the best character in Stormcast. I love him to pieces. He punched Sigmar in the face by accident. Very funny. He gets captured by the Skaven, and he's being captured and tortured by essentially Ikit Claw. And Ikit Claw is trying to make Stormcast Skaven.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
But he escapes, but his soul has been kind of messed up. Hamilcar. So his kind of goal is to try and find Ikit Claw and stop him. So it'd be fun to see Ikit Claw, maybe some weird sort of like Stormcast Skaven that can come back to life or whatever sort of reason like that. And of course, the Skaven are going to lose. It's just how it goes. Skaven will just eventually lose. There'll be some infighting, and then they push them back. that's going to happen. We know that's going to happen.
If there's a Gotrek book that comes out in 4th edition, it needs to be him fighting against Skaven. That's almost a tradition, basically. There needs to be a book where it's just him fighting Skaven.
100%. So yeah, I'm with the game as well. I think the game's going in a really in a fantastic direction, because of course it has the double turn, which I like. They got rid of Battle Shock, which I think is pretty good, because everyone forgets about Battle Shock. And the reaction abilities are really fun, because the big problem we had, like what I've seen, because I don't play much. I'm not going to sit there being arrogant. I barely play. I only paint.
I don't play the game at all, so I wouldn't know much on rules.
Well, there's a thing. What happens is called screening, where people screen their like big important model.
Mm-hmm.
And screening's an issue where like conga lining and stretch models across the board to block the models. So what you can do now in this game, you can, if your guy charged a unit, like for instance, say you've got a chariot, for instance, your chariot can charge this unit doing a lot of damage. And by the end of the charge, you roll the dice, you actually go through the unit now.
Oh,
instead of being blocked. So you can actually get to the other side and do more damage on the way through, like a chariot or a big monster going through a unit, which I think is fantastic.
That's actually pretty cool, actually.
They got some really fun sort of like reaction abilities as well. So like the double turn's a big thing where like you can make or break. But when it's let's say I'm doing a double turn, I've rolled off and I get to pick. Let's say I go first and you are basically last. I believe, don't quote me on this, I think it's the reason you get more command points where you can react more to what I'm going to do to you. Like,
okay,
what you can do in reaction things, like for instance, my voice is going, I'm sorry about that.
Do you need some water? I have a big glass of water. I bring a clean soul of water for me.
But what you can do, like, and how these command points work, you can essentially buff units and like do certain things. You make them run, you make them charge. And then you can do something called all-out attack and all-out defense, where you give +1 attack and +1 to your save. And you can do that. Let's say you're about to get attacked by a guy, they're charging you. You can roll a dice, then you can move. You can literally move away from them, so they have to roll higher on their charge. And if they get to you, you can add 1 +1 to their defense and stuff. And then you can roll another dice, and then you can attack afterwards as well. Like really fast. It's very fun. Like I've been watching a lot. Like the best person for this, in my opinion, to keep up with the rules and the stats and stuff for Age of Sigmar is, again, my dad, Rob the Honest Wargamer. He is phenomenal. He's incredible. Like he reads the rules, he goes through all the data sheets and explains how the 4th edition works. He is like he's the king of Age of Sigmar, in my opinion. He's incredible.
I didn't even know your dad had a YouTube channel. It's like, this is new lore for me. That's actually been interesting.
It's not my dad. He's not my real dad.
Oh fuck! This whole time you're making such a big point. My dad's like, does your dad have a YouTube channel or not? Like that'd be weird for me. It's like
he's my dad in spirit.
It's okay, because I'm just saying, you were making a huge emphasis on my dad. It's like, is he your dad or not?
No, I'm just joking. He's not my dad.
It's like, geez, I don't know this person, so I wouldn't know the age difference. Come on.
No, Rob the Honest Wargamer essentially is, in my opinion, carrying the Age of Sigmar community like thing. He's incredible. He is incredible at what he does. He's very good at what he does. He's very goofy, but he's very knowledgeable and very smart of what he says. And he runs events as well. He is the GOAT of the Age of Sigmar community, in my humble opinion.
And I'll keep note of that. I think I'll go check out his content too, because this sounds pretty cool, actually, especially what he does for the community. Yeah,
he's very good. He is the most wholesome Chungus person I know in the community. I love him. He's very blunt, very straightforward, very sweary, but he's very honest and he's very good at what he does. I highly recommend him. Highly recommend him.
Yeah, and I definitely had fun time bringing you onto the show to talk about Age of Sigmar. I definitely had a great time, and especially for a topic like 4th edition, I don't think there will be anybody else I would want to bring onto the show to talk about something like it, you know?
No, I really appreciate, having him on here, because I know we've been trying to plan it for a while, but time zone work and this, that, and the other. But it's been, absolutely awesome talking to you about Age of Sigmar, me spluttering my little autism on Age of Sigmar, because I can talk about this stuff for days.
Yeah, it's like, I like Iron Warrior, so that tells you how much autism I have.
Oh yeah, like brain like a brick. Get it?
It's like hyper focus on certain stuff.
100%. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to see what you do with your Age of Sigmar. So, what are you actually working on now for your Age of Sigmar? If you could do an Age of Sigmar army, or if you're starting one, what are you doing?
Currently, right now, actually, I have technically my own color scheme for Stormcast Eternals, and that's the Heralds of Gal Moraz.
I really like that. What's the color?
I actually did share those colors on Twitter, actually. And it's a bronze and purple, or bronze, red, and purple.
Fantastic. I like that. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I got inspired by the Byzantines.
Oh yeah, no, good idea. I'm looking forward to see what you do with when the box comes out, because I think this box is gorgeous for the Stormcast. You get the Liberators, you get the new sort of the dementia-ridden Stormcast.
But I will tell you, I'm sorry, but I will tell you that new Night Quester model, I'm going to paint him to be Felix Jaeger as anvils with a Helden Hammer, like I did with got Sleva to do this art on, right? I'm going to paint him to be anvils of Helden Hammer, and that's going to be Felix Jaeger in my head canon, because it looks too perfect. It's going to be Felix.
That quest on night is very good. No, I can definitely see the resemblance. I did see a tweet on that as well. So no, I completely agree with that.
And yeah, I definitely have fun time, man. And thank you for coming on to the show. I had a great time.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We've been talking for like nearly 2 hours now, which is whoa.
We're almost by 2 hours, actually. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for having me anyway.
And if you all enjoy this episode, consider subscribing and activating the bell notification so you'll never miss another episode. With that, I'll see you all later. Have a good day, guys.